Since the small machine and Thor released 79 yuan and 99 yuan handles respectively last year, handles within 100 yuan have become the direction of many brands' efforts. So the question is, those little-known small factories are at this price. What can be the product you make? This wave I got another one that supports PC, Switch, Apple. The double-digit warrior of the Android 4 platform Shiraishi Z03Cs, if he can make a splash. This product has a total of 4 colors: Starry Sky, Star Wood, and Black Sky. What I got here was the Starry Sky and the Star Wood. These two. First of all, let's take a look at the packaging. In addition to the manual of the main data cable of the handle, it also comes with 2 macho pink cat pole rocker hats. In terms of appearance, the Starry Sky in my hand is compared with the Starwood. Although the colors are rich, but the whole is not abrupt. The overall button layout is similar to that of the Xbox except for the home button. There are no other lighting effects. However, careful students should have found out at this time. There is also a turbo one-click burst function key in the middle. The design of POM rings and metal rings is also placed on the rocker of the handle. Prevent the rocker from rubbing off the powder during use. It is worth mentioning that in addition to the 2 back key moving locks on the back, there is even a normal mode, one-click switching function of 3 modes of racing FPS. Although now the controller can basically switch between different modes in the app, but made into physical buttons. It's quite convenient to use. The top is reserved for a mobile phone holder port, although it affects the aesthetics. But for users who need mobile games, it is still very friendly. So what do the students think of the appearance this time? The handle is made of ABS plastic, and I made a dot shape. The anti-slip texture treatment is very delicate to the touch, and the grip is also very good. The whole machine weighs only 188 g, and it feels a little light and fluttering in your hand. However, if you play for a long time, you can also reduce wrist fatigue. Next, let's take a look at the buttons. The action button and cross key of the handle are both conducted pin schemes. The overall feel is relatively uniform. But in terms of pressing pressure, the cross button is a bit stiff. The shoulder buttons, back buttons, and functional buttons on the arms are light speed switches. It feels more comfortable in the hand. The resilience is good. However, the shoulder buttons are a little loose, and the sound will be louder. To his credit, the trigger. It is divided into long process halls by trigger lock, linear trigger, and short process tactile switch. Trigger. After all, at this price point, many manufacturers simply make a segment of the Hall trigger. In terms of feel, it is not as comfortable as the touch switch. But praise is praise here. I have to mention the design of the rocker cap. Although the rocker cap has an anti-yellow streak treatment, this is too shallow. If you don't look closely, I thought it was a quality problem with silicone. I used it to wear out. Let's take a look at the situation of algorithm tuning. The first is the cross key. There is no case of linking, but there is a slight string phenomenon. In order to make it more intuitive for the students, we did 10 tests. Passed 10 tests, 4 of which were okay. Non-stringing rate up to 60%. The next step is the joystick that many students care about, and the joystick is adjusted. The center point of the factory is dead. In the third-party APP gamepad space can be set to 5 dead. But no matter how I set it up, there will still be dead zones in the test. A slight center point can be seen after development. Dead zone and solid adsorption. For students with relatively high requirements for micro-exercises, let's wait and see. In addition to experiments, you can also adjust the curve of the joystick in the app. As for the controversial original painting or the painter, it can be changed according to different needs. In addition, the average resolution of the joystick is around 120. After zooming in, you can see that the sword value distribution is still very even. In terms of rate of return, stable above 750 Hz in wired mode. At this point, it performs well in handles at the same price. Because I don't have a 2.4G receiver in my hand, so both the rate of return and the resolution refer to the wired mode. In terms of moving machine tuning, the factory default 20% of the empty app in the front and rear sections can be adjusted to no empty positions. After the vacancy, in addition, the overall tuning linear value performance of Hall linear movers is still good. It can be measured that the experience of moving the machine during play is still very good. Next, disassemble the machine and take a look or expect that the difference is, the inside of the handle is neat when opened, and the PCB is neat. The connection between the battery motor trigger and the PCB is a socket solution. Compared with direct welding, the socket scheme is not easy to break, and easy to replace. It seems that Pepsi is not because of the cheap price, and the battery for castrating the handle in this regard is 600 mAh. The battery is not protected by a battery hiding and is directly stuck to the motherboard with a sponge. The motor is the same asymmetrical rotor as the Xbox. In terms of motor joysticks, it is the GH16 Hall joystick of Conghijia. The stitches are also soldered. And I looked at the bottom solder joints and they were still relatively full. There was no leakage of welding. In general, the Beischer Z03 handle takes the people-friendly route. But in terms of materials, there is not much compromise. It can still show a certain amount of sincerity. Although there is still a lot of room for improvement in algorithm tuning and workmanship. But for the price of less than 100 yuan, this handle is also quite good. But for FPS players, there is no need to think about it at all. Here are more recommended for those new players who want to try the controller to play the game. After all, the price is cheaper. Of course, it can also be used as a backup life.